Here are the top stories for today, June 17, 2019. Malacanang assures that President Rodrigo Duterte is not silent on the incident involving Filipino and Chinese vessels in Recto Bank. Two alleged members of Dawla Islamiyah terrorist group were arrested in Quezon City. The Philippine News Agency hits 2 million website page views in May. And Intramuros is getting a boost as a tourist destination in Manila.
Good day, I'm Rom Dulfo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Our top story, Malacanang assures that President Rodrigo Duterte is not silent on the incident involving Filipino and Chinese vessels in Recto Bank. This as the president has yet to give a statement on reports that a Chinese vessel ran into and sank a Filipino boat. In today's press briefing, presidential spokesperson Sal Panelo said that they are not doubting the statement of the Filipino fishermen and that they are taking it at face value. He, however, said that they needed to get the facts straight since Chinese authorities have made a contrary claim. Panelo says the government will consider the results of the investigation of both the Philippines and China. He said if the Chinese vessel is proven to be accountable for the incident, they should be punished according to law. He also assured that they have moves to show China how serious they are in proving the country's sovereignty. Panelo meanwhile dismissed speculations of the Philippines backing out of its agreements with China following the incident, saying this is premature. The primary suspect in the fatal hazing of USC law student Horacio Acho Castillo III is found guilty of obstruction of justice Monday. The Manila Metropolitan Trial Court Branch 14 sentenced the aegis juris fratman John Paul Solano to 2 years up to 4 years and 2 months in prison for willfully interfering with the process of law. It, however, acquitted him of perjury or intentionally lying under oath. In his first affidavit, Solano said he randomly found Atio's body in Tondo, Manila on September 17, 2017. He said he brought Atio to the Chinese General Hospital. Afterwards, he gave another story, saying he initially made incorrect statements for uncontrollable fear for his life. Meanwhile, Atio's family welcomed the decision. Atio's father said the conviction proves there was cover-up and will help in the hazing case against 10 other aegis juris members facing charges of homicide, robbery, and violation of the anti-hazing law. The opening of Sangley Air Base to commercial activity may not be the only answer to ease congestion in the Ninoy Aquino International Airport or NAIA. Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugade said on Friday that besides transferring domestic flights to Sangley Air Base, the former U.S. Naval facility may also open for commercial use by the end of the year. He also emphasized that aside from Sangley, they are also looking at Clark and Bulacan airports. Clark's second terminal is expected to be completed by the second quarter of next year and will become operational. Meanwhile, Tugade said they are currently working on completing a ferry station to transfer passengers from NAIA to Sangley while considering the use of point-to-point buses. The DILG encourages LGUs to participate in its upcoming nationwide simultaneous earthquake drill. Meanwhile, the PNP says crime volume in the country dropped by 10%. More on this and other news around the metro from Miguel Hill.
The Department of Interior and Local Government has called on local government units to join its second quarterly nationwide simultaneous earthquake drills on June 20. The DILG ordered in a memorandum circular for LGUs work alongside PhilVox in creating a local earthquake scenario and testing the effectiveness of their contingency plans. Meanwhile, the country's crime rate as of May this year dropped by 10%. The PNP says about 38,000 crimes have been reported from over 42,000 in May last year. DILG Secretary Eduardo Año urged the PNP to continue diligently enforcing the law. In other news, the Department of Social Welfare and Development denies reports that it sacked 1,200 contract of service or COS workers. The agency said they are in fact accepting more workers due to the expanding scope of their programs. About 13,000 out of the 27,000 employees of the DSWD are COS or job orders. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
Still to come, DENR Secretary Roy Simando raised the possibility of deploying Philippine eagles to the U.S. for breeding purposes. And young indigenous peoples leaders from across Mindanao expressed their support for EO-70. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
The President's ideal of reform and inclusive development with focus on the marginalized are and will continue to be the guiding light for our untiring pursuit to protect the welfare of Muslim Filipinos. There we train thousands of our Muslim youth by educating them about the true values of Islam, which is a religion of peace, love, and respect to our fellow men.
I join the entire Muslim Filipino community in thanksgiving as we mark the solemn culmination of the holy month of Ramadan. I urge the entire nation to contemplate upon the true meaning of Ramadan. May this time of joy remind us of our shared pursuit to establish lasting peace and stability across the country, especially in Mindanao. You want peace? All of you, you want peace? Filipino, you want peace? Oh, let us invest on peace.
This is Secretary Martin Andanar, and you're watching.
Two alleged members of Dawla Islamiyah terrorist group were arrested in an operation in Quezon City over the weekend. PNP Chief Director General Oscar Albayalde identified the suspects as Arnel Cabintoy alias Abu Musab, native of Barangay Nagtupakan, Lagangilang Abra, and Feliciano Sulayaw alias Abu Muslim, native of Barangay Cagripa, Calbayog City, Northern Samar. Both suspects wielded blasting caps and grenades when arrested in Tandangsora last Saturday. The two have undergone inquest proceedings for illegal possession of explosives. Both are Islam converts who joined the Dawla Islamiyah Philippines under Hatib Hajan Sawadjaan. Sawadjaan assumed the leadership of the terrorist group upon the death of Isilon Hapilon at the height of the Marawi City siege. A U.S.-based institution has a signified interest in looking after a pair of Philippine eagles to help conserve the species. DENR Secretary Roy Simando raised the possibility of after his department deployed a pair of Philippine eagles to Singapore this month for breeding and other conservation activities. 15-year-old male Philippine eagle Geothermica and his 17-year-old female partner Sambisig already left for Singapore last week. Simato is optimistic that deploying another pair of Philippine eagles abroad would help boost efforts to save this species from extinction. Filipino brand of Tanduay Distillers Incorporated remains #1 in the rum category for 2 years now. The title is awarded by Drinks International, a global spirits market organization which rewards the greatest drinks in different categories. In a press briefing on Saturday, Tanduay President and CEO Lucio Tan Jr. said the title is a milestone not only for the 165-year-old company but also for the Philippines. Tanduay's Chief Marketing Officer Paul Lim said their company embarked on an aggressive marketing plan and an intensive dealer retention plan 3 years ago. The company increased its market presence abroad and is adopting more efficient technologies to decrease its dependence on nature. Young indigenous peoples leaders from across Mindanao threw their support behind the Duterte administration's whole-of-nation approach under Executive Order No. 70. More than 200 participants to the Mindanao Indigenous Peoples Youth Assembly committed to helping the government implement the initiative that aims to address the decades-long communist rebellion in the country. They pledged not to be used and abused by the communist insurgents and convince others not to support their distorted ideology. EO No. 70 paves the way for the creation of the National Task Force to end the local communist armed conflict. The EO's whole-of-nation approach mandates concerned agencies to deliver services to underdeveloped, conflict-affected communities in a bid to promote peace and solve insurgency. Meanwhile, the youth leaders urged President Duterte to declare the full implementation of RA 8371, or the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act, as part of the national government's policy agenda in his upcoming State of the Nation Address, or SONA. Local officials lead a tree planting ceremony at a watershed in Nueva Ecija. Meanwhile, authorities declare a town in Cavite as drug-cleared. More on these and other news from the provinces from Janice Cave.
In Nueva Ecija, some 3,000 nara and mahogany seedlings were planted in the vicinity of the Sierra Madre mountain range on Friday. Local government and irrigation officials, along with Japanese participants, plant trees on the watershed area of Upper Tabuating Irrigation Project in General Tino, Nueva Ecija. The activity was part of the agency's reforestation drive. In Cavite, the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency and Philippine National Police have declared Naik Municipality as drug-free. 30 villages were cleared of illegal drugs from January 2017 to April 2019 and adjudged as the first drug-cleared Class A municipality in the province of Cavite. The municipality received the drug-free locality certificate Thursday last week at Camp General Pantaleon Garcia in Imus City. In Pangasinan, some 13,000 residents in Umingan Town are now enjoying better quality of road. This as the 10-kilometer Gonzales San Juan Farm-to-Market Road is being rehabilitated under the Philippine Rural Development Project. The road rehabilitation started last quarter of 2017 and was 73% completed as of May 31 this year. In North Cotabato, 48 inmates are now certified appliance repair technicians after they completed the training provided by TESDA. The graduation on Saturday came as early as Father's Day treat, as most of the graduates are fathers. The one-month training was conducted inside the jail facility in Barangay Amas, Kidapawan City through TESDA's North Cotabato's Mobile Training Laboratory. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Up next, Intramuros is getting a boost as a tourist destination in Manila, and PNA hits the 2 million mark in website page views. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Because of the speed, the clarity, the algorithmic convergence of simultaneous events, the simulcasts of occurrences, the instantaneous reportage as the coverage is happening, the facilities for recording, editing, reproduction, and storage, and several other sophisticated applications that are already possible. Every day there are new discoveries, new systems, new methods that make transmittal at the tip of one's finger and quite dexterously. All of these serve the media, specifically the broadcast industry, with immense facility, saving time and even effort in both administration and management.
There's no stopping State-run Philippine news agency from expanding its reach here and abroad as the country's newswire service hit the 2 million mark in website page views in May. That's double from the 1 million monthly impressions or page views it earned in December last year, and a 691% increase from its only 276,000 page views in January 2018. The Philippine government's official news agency has been bolstering its digital online presence and is continually broadening its global reach through news exchange deals, the latest of which include partnerships with Turkey's Anadolu Agency and the Emirates News Agency. In our foreign news, the world's population is not only growing older, but also expanding further with an expected increase of 2 billion in the next 30 years. In a study by the UN, the world's population is growing older, with the age group of 65 and over growing the fastest. Life expectancy at birth for the world is expected to increase further from 64.2 years in 1990 to 77.1 years in 2050. The global fertility rate, which fell from 3.2 births per woman in 1990 to 2.5 in 2019, is projected to decline further to 2.2 births in 2050. Meanwhile, migration has become a major component of population change in some countries. The study noted that the world's population could reach its peak around the end of the current century at a level of nearly 11 billion. The resulting changes have important consequences for achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. In sports, former WBC U.S. heavyweight champion Ronald Johnson dominated the Thrilla in Davao fight to win the Global Boxing Organization heavyweight title on Saturday. The 33-year-old Johnson knocked down Saul Farah of Bolivia 2 times in the opening round and almost finished the 36-year-old Bolivian in the second round. With his win, Johnson has called out Andy Ruiz Jr. to be his next opponent. Ruiz is the reigning International Boxing Federation, International Boxing Organization, World Boxing Association, and World Boxing Organization World Heavyweight Champion. Meanwhile, Davao's Aris Buenavides defeated Ifugao's Roy Nagulman via a unanimous decision to win the GBO Asia Pacific Youth Bantamweight Championship title. In another fight, Valencia's Joe Tejones won by a split decision over Ifugao's KJ Natublag for the GBO Asia Pacific Junior Lightweight Championship title. Justin Brownlee proved anew on Sunday why Barangay Ginebra is the defending PBA Commissioner's Cup champion. The reigning best import led the Kings by playing the entire 53 minutes of the game to bring down the Beermen. Brownlee finished with a game-high 39 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists. L.A. Tenorio added 16 points, while Scotty Thompson and Greg Slaughter had 13 each for the Kings. Chris Ross finished with a triple-double of 11 points, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists, while Charles Rhodes made 34 points to lead San Miguel Beer's losing effort. Meanwhile, Magnolia Pambansang Manok took down Colombian Jeep despite playing its third game in 5 days. James Farr and Ian Sangalang each scored 22 points, while Paul Lee added 21 to lead Magnolia to its second straight win in 4 games. The Hot Shots now get a much-needed rest before seeing action again on Saturday against Phoenix Pulse. Intramuros is getting a boost as a tourist destination in Manila. A new tour program seeks to reintroduce the landmarks of Intramuros not only as historical spots but as places for leisure and fun. Janice Cave with the story.
The Manila Hotel, in partnership with the Intramuros administration, pilot tested the Visita Intramuros, a tour of the famous walled city. The opening of the tour, which coincided with the 121st Philippine Independence Day, aims to reintroduce the place as part of Manila's tourist belt. Intramuros stands within the vicinity of Manila's original tourist belt, the Ermita, Malate, Santa Cruz, Quiapo, Binondo area. The tour starts off at the famed MacArthur Suite inside Manila Hotel, where General Douglas MacArthur once resided during his stint as the United States military advisor to the Philippine Commonwealth. Inside the 500,000 pesos per night suite, medals received by the American general are still on display. After the exclusive tour at the hotel, tourists can visit landmarks inside the walled city such as the Fort Santiago, Museo de Intramuros, Baluarte de San Diego, Destilleria Limtuaco Museum, Bahay Chinoy, and Casa Manila. Meanwhile, charming cobblestone streets, churches, and old infrastructures steeped in history from the Spanish colonial period are few of the things one could spot from a quick stroll inside Intramuros for free. However, with the in-depth tours, one could take a closer look at the housed artifacts that once made up the old Manila district. Manila Hotel President and former Senator Joey Linas said reintroducing Intramuros as an entry point could be a way to revive Manila's once vibrant tourism belt. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
With the onset of rainy season, rainfall conditions for July are expected to be generally near to above normal over most parts of Luzon and the Visayas, while generally below normal in most areas of Mindanao and southern Visayas. Meanwhile, weak El Nino condition persisted in the tropical Pacific since the last quarter of 2018 and may likely to continue during the June to July-August 2019 season. Let us check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories.
Malacanang assures that President Rodrigo Duterte is not silent on the incident involving Filipino and Chinese vessels in Recto Bank. Two alleged members of Daula Islamia terrorist group were arrested in Quezon City. The Philippine news agency hits 2 million website page views in May. And Intramuros is getting a boost as a tourist destination in Manila.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website to follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags on all our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Rom Dulfo. Good day.